Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Final Show Films. I'm Sen, your executive producer here. I want to thank you all for tuning in as we do a short series utilizing the newly released Marvel Multiverse role playing game. We are excited to bring you a little bit of X Men shenaniganery, so please stay tuned for that. And want to thank all of our supporters over the years, particularly our $29 tier supporters over on our Patreon page at patreon.com/fsfilms. Those being Jeremy Alexander, Samantha Bates, Cat Waterflame, and L. Without whom we won't be able to do nearly as much of the things we do now. If you'd like to support us, if you'd just like to look at more of our stuff, you can check us out over at youtube.com/Final Show Films, on our website at finalshowfilms.com, or at our aforementioned Patreon page. In the meantime, those of you that are watching live, please sit back, relax, and enjoy. And we're live. I don't know what you guys were adding because I couldn't hear anything, but
Yeah,
talking about Captain Marvel.
Carol will do what she thinks is the right
Carol will always do what she believes is the best choice.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
live,
She will not always do the right thing, though. Absolutely not. But hi, everybody. Welcome to this nutball. So today we're going to be playing Marvel Multiverse. This is a short, probably 3-shot mini campaign that we're throwing together here on Final Show Films. My name is Jack. I'm your storyteller for this thing called Perils of X. While we have the entire Marvel Multiverse to play with, most people here at Final Show Films are of the correct opinion that X-Men is the best thing that Marvel's ever done. So that's what we're focusing on instead. If you disagree with us, we want you to know that we accept you and your wrongness.
Absolutely.
But I am joined by 3 players today, all of whom, including me, will be kind of learning this as we go. We've read the books, we've figured things out, we've built some characters, but in terms of actually enacting the rule set and making it into a story, well, we're gonna see what happens. But I am joined today by Shawnee.
Hi, I'm William or Shawnee, and I'll be playing Shawnee Dragonheart, the name that I usually go for whenever I'm introducing my first character into a world.
There you go.
And who is also known by their X-Men name Arcana.
And Sen.
I'm Sen, and I'm going to be playing Maria Perez, also known as Calavera.
And Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy. I am playing Evangeline Stark, whose mutant name is Scion.
And all these people have some crazy shit going on. For those of you who are X fans or are familiar with the X-Men, we are beginning in the current Krakoan era, roughly about a year past the inception of Krakoan society, and shortly after, for those of you that follow the comics events, X of Swords. So, the air of Krakoa carries the scent of wet earth, verdant growth, a hint of salt spray, and a sense of freedom. Barely a year has passed since a psychic announcement rang out to every sapient mind on the planet. Humans of the planet Earth, I am the mutant Charles Xavier, and I bring you a message of hope. Hope, of course, is not just an abstract concept. On Krakoa, the new mutant homeland, Hope is also the name of a redhead with a proclivity for absolutely insane munitions, and also known for being the keystone actor in a weird process that allows for the complete resurrection and renewal of any dead mutant, which has become a foundation and cornerstone of this new society and a well-kept, for the large part, secret from the other beings who inhabit Earth. But it can revive those mutants who have died, even those who have lost their powers. The world has been hazardous for mutants since basically forever here on Earth 6196. One of the most widely vilified demographics on the planet, mutants have seen far more than their share of bigotry and suffering. Those who don't also belong to other more privileged categories of society have it that much worse. With Krakoa, however, there is a hope for a second chance, a better start, and even, in many cases, a redressing of old wrongs. But change still requires struggle. Calavera, it's been years since you last felt your skeleton respond to control or morph to your whims. Having lost your powers in the event known as M-Day, It's been a difficult time. But today, as the sand of the Crucible Arena on Krakoa crunches under your feet, you remember being told that this could be the last day of being just human again. It won't be clean or easy to get back to what you've lost. And you know it's going to be an excruciatingly painful process. But I leave the question up to you. What are you bringing to the circle of battle? And what thoughts are in your mind as you walk out into the open space towards the short man who faces you? The individual who's across from you, just a few inches over 5 feet tall, a squat, hairy knot of muscle, currently wearing a t-shirt and pair of jeans, boots on his feet, can see those nostrils flare as he catches your scent from across the arena, and the eyes look up towards yours. Logan is not in his battle or field uniform of any sort. And he just kind of gives you a little bit of a nod as you begin to get close enough to approach what might be called earshot. Meanwhile, up in the stands around you, the arena known as the Crucible is packed with people. A few of them, Calavera, you know personally. Many of them are simply here to witness another entry into the social fabric of Krakoan society. Scion and Arcana, what do you know of the person that you see walking towards Wolverine down in the sand, and why did you decide to attend this event this morning? It's entirely up to you guys.
Arcana has probably only seen Calavera in passing occasionally. Probably hasn't spent a whole lot of time interacting with her. But they are here because they're still trying to feel things out and get an understanding of why anyone would put themselves through this for what in her mind is still a burden. Because as she's sort of sitting there watching Calavera step into the Crucible, she herself has like a twinge of pain as some of the runes sort of glowing across her body spark for a moment as the energy builds up, and she just has to put her hand out to the side and let harmless, like glowing sparks emit out from the engine on her wrist to try and vent some of the excess mana buildup that she's currently experiencing. As she feels the pain die down and just lets the light show play out next to her.
I think that in terms of interaction, I don't imagine there's been much, if any. Like, I feel like Simon and Calavera have perhaps seen each other once or twice, whether Green Lagoon or just in passing wherever walking through. Evangeline is here mostly because her mother said it would be a good idea to see it and understand what society, how integral of a part this is for Krakoan society, which is something she's still trying to get the hang of. So she's mostly here because she kind of probably should be, and she's definitely in the build up to it. She's not paying a ton of attention right now. Wait until the stage is properly set and it begins. In the meantime, she is mostly fiddling with one of the gauntlets on her arms.
Okay.
With a uh honestly probably just a screwdriver at this point, trying to get
I think I might have
a spare wire into place properly.
Okay.
I think I might have been muted when I described Calavera walking out.
I heard you, I think.
No, to the stream, because I muted.
Oh, okay.
My daughter came in for a little bit, and I muted myself on the stream.
Whoops. Well, you can go ahead and re-describe that if you want.
So yeah,
Describe ourselves.
Yeah, everybody, go for it.
you two weren't muted at all. The three of you
Okay.
weren't muted. It was just me because we're on two different audio tracks.
Right.
So yeah, so Calavera's Calavera is walking out to the middle of the field with a pair of wakizashi in both hands, just sort of focused on not losing this fight, even though logically she might know that she's supposed to lose this fight. Also, right now she's not wearing her full outfit. She's got just the sort of the ragged, sleeveless button down that has no buttons. Like it has like the deep V, and it looks like there should be buttons there, but there are none. And some like really ragged leather pants, boots, and leggings, and the like. And she's just eyes dead ahead.
What's Scion look like as she's sitting there in the stands?
Scion is dressed still very much in what would be considered like non-Krakoan casual.
Mm-hmm.
Very much her wardrobe is still New York City style. So she's wearing like jeans, probably a pair of Docs, crop t-shirt with down on one shoulder. She is outside of that like generally her. She looks very much like a teenager, older teenager. Blonde hair, but it's blonde only in spots. Most of it is red. Mostly buzzed off on one side. And yet she looks entirely like somebody who has lived their whole life not on Krakoa, who is here on Krakoa for the first time. She looks practically like a tourist.
All right. And what about Arcana?
Arcana is dressed in a unique combination of street clothes and high-tech equipment. In that she's wearing looks to be like a violet, like low-cut shirt that sort of exposes like upper chest and neck, with the most of the like arcane lines that are around that area being exposed. Not by choice. She would rather cover them if she could, but the more of them she covers, the worse it feels when they start to flare up. And so with that, there's also a jacket sort of thrown over the shoulders, very, very like armless. It's just kind of it's a fashion statement jacket more than a wearing anything jacket. It's sort of just like over the shoulders and the collar, and like upper back doesn't actually cover that much. It has no sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
And then some like leather pants that meld into the technology, and a lot of belts sort of tied around. Whereas where the regular clothing ends, the technology begins. The boots and like almost like chaps that sort of go over the leggings, are made of a combination of artificial materials and like metallics, and a lot of circuitry sort of visibly over it, that seems to function as a channel for some of this energy that constantly builds up in Arcana. The gloves that she wears have these sort of like storage vessels on the back of the forearm, that sort of help store the buildup of mana before it has to be released. And then leading down to circuitry, down to diodes on the knuckles and on the fingertips that sort of glow with this arcano-technological energy, and the fingertips of the gloves change color with whatever she's doing magically. At the moment, as she's just sort of venting, they are like this sort of glowing gold as they just sort of emit harmless lights and sparks as she tries to like do some low grade venting of energy. Similarly, the leggings go into boots that are similarly high tech, and similarly to the gloves, have these sort of glowing diodes and energy readouts in the sole and the heel, which are currently just sort of vibrating a light green and purple.
Excellent.
And then again, her hair, sorry, that was her outfit. Her hair is a sort of long, like crimson red that's about mid back and pulled into a couple of braids. And her eyes glow slightly green, and then most of her skin is covered in these glowing blue lines that just constantly glow brightly from the buildup of mana.
I should mention her gauntlet that I mentioned before. They're clearly an old set, like not current or in the last several iterations, but they're an old set of Iron Man gauntlets.
Okay. Fantastic. Calavera, you make it to probably about 15, 20 feet away from the individual you're going to be facing. And while he's well known in these environs, most people would peg him roughly in his current deportment as a very short lumberjack. But he looks up, gives you another wry grin. Hola, niña. Wolverine speaks Spanish like a Canadian.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call you Papi. As she puts the swords down, I just like stabs the swords into the ground, pulls a cigar out of like a Cuban out of a like the back of her belt and lights it. It's going to be the last time these affect me.
You ready for what we're facing today?
She just bites down onto it and holds it there, picks the swords back up. Whenever you are.
And there's a voice that rings out as a blue-furred, pointy-eared mutant steps out down in one of the corners to... Normally you'd expect like a microphone or something, but this is a strange woody pylon that sort of emerges and has a slightly flared base. Krakoan technology leans toward the organic in terms of its means of use and design.
I thought you were saying they lean towards the flared base.
I mean, sometimes. Welcome to all who are here. Today we see once more that the lives that we have left behind can be renewed here on Krakoa. Death is a part of life for all of us. And even the blood that stains the floor of this arena will be rebuilt by the actions of the five. And those who have lost can prove their commitment to what is happening, to the new lives that we are building, the new society and the opportunities for freedom and acceptance that we can find amongst each other here on Krakoa. This one who calls herself Calavera, like so many of us, had her gifts removed. But now, through the efforts and ultimate sacrifice and the willingness of a friend or a mentor to hold your life in his hands and make it so that you can be reborn with new opportunities as you are meant to be. Your sacrifice here will mark you as a member of the family who makes their home on this island. Nightcrawler steps back and raises a hand, and you hear a familiar snicked as 6 blades emerge, 3 from the back of each of Wolverine's hands. I'm gonna need some initiative.
So my situational awareness means that I have an edge on initiative checks. What does that mean?
Yes, you do. So when you roll your initiative check, move all the turns. Come on, clear them out. There we go. When you roll your initiative check, it'll come up with 3 dice. Edge is basically means you got a better chance than normal. So whichever die is lowest, you'll be able to click on it and re-roll that one to hopefully get a better result. Wolverine.
Oh, no, you can choose any die.
You can choose any
die. It doesn't have
die.
to be the lowest one, but you probably
doesn't
want the
have
lowest
to be
one.
the lowest one, right? Wolverine also has that though. So his initiative is going to be run along similar lines.
So mine's a 17 then.
17. Ooh, and you got a fantastic result as well. So unless he, so when the middle die comes up M, that's effectively a crit of some sort.
Okay.
Which in this case, believe
You got so close to a 616.
I was gonna say, which in this case, I believe means unless he also gets an M, you get a surprise round.
That would have been a real good way to start the campaign. I'm just saying.
All right, he's got a 15.
So I get a surprise round.
Evangeline is definitely paying attention at this point. Once Nightcrawler started.
Yep. All right. So you get to take part in a bonus round before regular combat begins.
Okay.
Wolverine was paying attention to his friend up there in the announcer's booth and was waiting for the signal. And you predict the drop of Nightcrawler's hand just before his eyes flash back to you. You've got a very slight push.
So she actually...
And you're going to technically get 2 turns in a row because you beat his initiative and you got the fantastic result.
So what she does then is actually with her tongue and her teeth just sort of spits the cigar out in a way that it sort of spins, so that when he looks back, the first thing he's going to see is the spinning cigar.
There you go.
And she takes sort of a line to come around the opposite side of him from where he was looking towards Nightcrawler, so that she's coming at him from the side instead, and just brings in those 2 swords to come at him.
Okay.
So first I'm going to start with a fast attack.
Okay.
So I split my attacks to make 2 close attacks against separate targets. Never mind.
I was gonna say fast attacks is only applicable if they're separate.
Or they can focus a single attack on a single target. It says.
Yeah.
So
So I make.
you can
Can I make?
You can make your attack, and it's a normal attack unless you make a fantastic success, in which case you get an extra one.
Right.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
So
the basically fast attacks is you can split your normal attack in half to hit 2 people, or target 1 person. But if you get a fantastic success, you get an extra half on top of that.
Right.
Yep.
So then it's going to be
all right. So you will. So that is a 15. Let me check one thing on surprise rounds. I don't know if you get edge on those or not. No, I think you just get the extra round.
It would make sense.
Yeah. All right.
So then I don't.
So
get a
you
second hit.
lash out towards Wolverine with a 15 total to hit. His melee defense is 17.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that first strike comes out and those claws come up and just catch those blades. But you get another shot at this.
And then I'm going to follow
Because
it up.
now the actual initial attack begins.
So yeah. So 2 slices. He catches the first one, catches the second one. Pull the sword out from the first one, and I'm going to come back around with a vicious attack.
Okay.
So this is, if the attack succeeds, you take regular damage. On a fantastic, it's doubled.
And
Nice.
special effect, which would be bleeding in this case.
He's going to block that though for 15.
Yep. Yeah, with a 13, you do, however, get a fantastic result. However, you have, despite having failed, so you do get a benefit from this. I'm going to say that these attacks are coming in so fast. The first attack he gets on you, he will have trouble.
Okay.
Because you are giving such a vicious offense that it's going to be hard for him to find an opening. Because he's having to fight a little more defensively in this case.
So yeah, 2 quick 1-2 from the side, and then a really heavy hit from above, just sort of like sending him skidding a little bit further back as we lock blades.
Excellent. He, however, pulls back and drops into a stance just before he leaps at you. Go ahead and make me a vigilance check of 10.
15.
You've seen this positioning from him before. You know the difference between Logan, because of the time that when he first encountered you in Mexico, you have spent some time with him previously, and this is what it looks like when he's shifting from defense to offense. He's taking an attack stance right now. Which, if he hits you, doubles his bonus damage against your hit, your health. All right, so it's going to be Wolverine's turn. While this is happening, you two up in the stands, you feel a jostling and a shifting, and somebody that you recognize is sort of trying to get themselves in position to take a seat next to you. This is a fairly tall and broad character. He's got a very rocky texture to any of his exposed skin. He's wearing a training outfit right now. You know this individual as Agate. He's a mutant, arrived on Krakoa probably a couple months maybe before you guys did. Has been working pretty hard to kind of incorporate himself into society. Definitely has aspirations of being on an actual mutant team at some point. Spends a lot of time training. He's very much kind of a bruiser and a tank, and basically is a big chunky rock boy.
Right.
Who's working his way down, kind of gives you a wave. Both of you have met him. He's pretty gregarious, pretty outgoing, has definitely either tried to buy or share drinks with you guys at the Green Lagoon at least once or twice, maybe individually, maybe as part of a group.
As he approaches, Arcana had been venting magic just into the empty seat next to her, but because he's approaching, she sort of tilts her hand back and just starts to vent it like slightly up in front of her face to give him the room.
Right. He's actually coming in from Scion's side,
Okay,
but he kind of gives you a wave. What did it miss so far?
They just started. She got the drop on him, but
Like
that
one
went about as
purpose?
well as you might expect.
Okay. Well, oh shit, here he comes.
I was going to say, this might not last much longer. You might want to sit down.
Desperately want to know what X-23's reaction is across the battle, because I can see that she's in the stands too.
You can make a vigilance roll on your next
player,
turn.
not Maria's not concerned about it. I, the player, want to know what her reaction is.
Alrighty.
Laura looks like she's having a good time.
Okay. That is a 16 against your melee defense. But he has trouble. That's right.
Defense is 14, but he does have trouble. So
stays 16.
Still 16.
Okay.
Oh, that's just me.
All right.
He
You
rolled
have
6-2-1 both times. Like
yes, he did.
All right, that's 2 and the 1 don't change, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, because with when it's trouble, unless you do have to reroll your highest.
Yeah.
Unless you've got it. Well, if you've got a fantastic, that one counts as your highest. So,
Yeah, no, if it's just 14,
you
so.
come around and are preparing for this onslaught. You see him shift his weight, and he just pushes off that back foot and lunges low. You go to defend, and then at the last minute, he cocks an elbow up, and now he's coming in from two different vectors at you, and that's 32 damage.
Damn.
So, question. Actually, so no. Actually, I was under the impression that the attack roll also determines the damage.
Yeah,
So
it's
the
what
attack
you
roll
roll.
made-
It's what you roll on the Marvel die.
So it would have been 2 times whatever he made rather than.
Oh,
3,
yeah,
so.
that's what I rolled an ability score, not an actual
Yeah, you rolled
attack
an ability
first
score
time
on an
around.
actual attack. So
Okay.
basically 2 times whatever his attack multiplier
That's
is
true.
plus his base,
Mhm.
plus his whatever his thing is.
Yeah, okay, so that is 17 damage to you then. Yep. Yep.
So,
I'm learning this character sheet. So yeah, you feel the blood snake out of the gash that he leaves on your side. And oops, that's something else. Oh yeah, that's right. That's a focus trigger if he gets a crit. Okay. Never mind. All right. So that is Wolverine's turn.
Can you set my health to be 60 over 60 because it's just giving me blank every time I try. I'm trying to do the math to subtract it.
Yeah.
So I keep tracking it. Thank you.
That's going to be in your green box.
You have literally twice the amount of health that I do.
Yeah, I have 60
Same.
health. Yeah.
Yep.
only have
Hey,
five-
taking
only have-
resilience at rank 1 is a good idea.
I only have 30 focus though, so
I mean, fair. I would like.
I also
At
only
this-
have 30 focus.
I have 60 there. I would like at this particular after the strike hits to. I mean, you can resist obviously, and then we'll roll. But to telepathically link with Calavera.
Okay.
she's very focused, so I feel like she would passively resist it. I don't know
Okay.
how that would work though.
So it is a logic check. It is a logic check against your vigilance defense.
Okay, you're probably going to succeed. Go ahead.
What's your vigilance defense there for Calavera?
11.
11.
All right. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you just hear, and I don't think we've probably interacted much. We might have maybe, unless you disagree, we might have like said a few words to each other at some point. But you just hear a voice in your hand say, "You might want to duck better next time."
You just get a string of Hispanic cursing back at you. You're not certain if she's actually responding to you or just that's what's in her brain.
Right. No, absolutely.
Amazing. That brings us back to Calavera's turn.
We're going to go with another vicious attack on this then.
Okay. He'll get trouble on his attack again. So you're not hitting him, but you are definitely keeping him off balance enough that it's making it hard for him to bring his full skill to bear, which is exceptional.
Oh yeah, no.
I was about to say, for anyone without any powers or not that much experience fighting Wolverine, you're doing pretty damn good.
Yeah. You made it past round. You're doing great.
Yeah, I mean, right. If you hit the calculation under attack, it'll roll the full attack and damage.
Right, yeah, it'll roll it all together. Yep. I wasn't sure if it was a score and then, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right. Meanwhile, up in the stands, Arcana, you hear actually, go ahead and give me a vigilance check. I'll say you've got edge on this one.
Somebody else doing some mind talk.
Not exactly.
Roll vigilance. As soon as it actually rolls the damn thing. Hang on.
I'm gonna put since I made the mini and since he's been introduced, I'm gonna put Agate's mini in the Slack channel.
It would be really nice if it would roll the damn thing. Where's the button to actually make this thing roll?
You just click. This is a non-combat vigilance, so you just hit the
I have
second.
done that several times and it has not rolled anything. Hang on, let me refresh the page. I thought I was like, it looks like you should click the red button and it should roll, right? But it's
Yeah,
not.
it should. Mhm.
You should just click the number.
Yeah.
Vigilance. There we go.
There you go.
There you go.
I have
14.
an edge, you said?
Yes, you have an edge, so you can re-roll that too if you want. 17.
Nice.
You hear the clack of a shoe on the stone steps next to you, and turn to glance just in time to see a tall, blonde woman dressed in pristine white, delicately picking her way down the stairs in a very much I could give a fuck about anything that's happening here.
Uh-oh.
I'm
I
assuming
have
this is
my
Emma
own
Frost.
business. As you guessed it,
Uh-oh.
Jeremy's
and
mom
she
is
glances
here.
down at you,
It's
and
so funny because
And because Agate came in from the other side, Arcana is still just like venting like small
Right.
bits of light
Mhm.
and magic into the air next to her. So
right, just kind of glances down at you. Scoot over there, darling.
yeah, fair enough. Wrong accent. I don't know where that came from, but I took on my mentor's accent for a second.
Right, as she basically says, move your seat. I need to sit next to my daughter. You are familiar with that
Yeah.
relationship, at least.
All right.
it's hilarious because I was literally just about to say after that round that Evan was getting ready to had pulled out a joint and is getting ready to light up.
Yeah,
It very
amazing.
quickly vanishes.
Give me
Arcana slides over.
Give me an agility roll there.
That's gonna go great.
Yeah, let's see how well you roll.
7.
Agility roll.
I need to pull up Emma's character sheet.
I feel like her vigilance is going to be very, very, very good, and
You can
it's
always
going to
roll
be hard to
poorly.
lose that.
You can always roll poorly.
It's only her second highest character.
Right. It is an important one for.
Yep.
She beats you by 10.
She literally couldn't fail that. If she had rolled all ones, she would still be at 9.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Or rather, it'd be 1-2-1 because a 1 would have been a 6 because the Marvel die.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, Mom.
Really? At this hour?
There's no wrong hour for it. Besides, isn't that what I've seen way worse than this? Smoke just out in the open here already.
Yes, you have. She kind of steeples her fingers and just sits down, and somehow you don't know if it's her innate control, her force of personality, maybe, or just what the cloth's made out of. She's sitting on a bare stone bench and does not seem to have picked up any debris whatsoever.
Yep. I mean, marijuana is one of the lightest things that I saw in a Stark lab previously.
Yes,
Marijuana.
well,
I mean,
Tony's not known for his handling of the minutia. He likes to think of himself as a big picture person, which means everything drops through the cracks.
not everything. And in fairness, been sober for a good long time.
I'm not going to get in the middle of that.
Meanwhile, fighting for my life out there.
Give me a vigilance
Or-
check. Give me a vigilance check for Scion as well.
Okay.
8.
Okay, after one good roll, it said, "Oh, this is Jeremy." Okay, I know how I need.
The
to
only thing
roll.
you particularly notice is that Agate has gone stone motionless on the
Okay.
other side of you right now. All right.
If I stay still, she won't notice me.
Right. All right. Which means it's Logan's turn.
And now Arcana is still not wanting to like bother anyone directly with it. Is now just venting magic into the stairway.
Amazing. Alrighty.
It's like I could burn this out a lot faster if I was doing anything bigger than this, but I'm trying not to burn anything down.
I'm gonna refresh too, because apparently I can't roll either.
Aha.
Well, then I'm going to preemptively refresh.
I'm gonna stay the course.
There you go.
API is crapping out.
Must be. Roll me a fucking attack for
I feel like when
Wolverine,
she's doing something is when she
please.
hits the point of painful mana venting. When she does something as small as this to try and vent out, it takes several minutes before she gets back down to manageable
Yes, a
levels.
16 will still. Although he does have trouble.
Yep. He's
16.
still
But
he
again,
constantly rolls the exact
same
same
number.
thing on his trouble die.
Is that what trouble?
s-
Does trouble mean a reroll, or does trouble just mean the same number, but now it's highlighted in yellow? I haven't seen anything to change that idea.
That
oh,
is
let me try troubling one of mine. We'll find out, because if I can
Right.
roll lower, I
you
will.
right.
Okay, interestingly, no.
Hang on a minute. I
Hold on.
need to test a thing here. If I trouble this.
No, trouble does work.
Okay.
We've just been rolling
We
the
have
same
confirmed.
I
fucking
literally rolled the same thing over again. Yes. Okay, it can get worse.
Yes.
All right.
No, because I did another trouble on my agility. I
It's
definitely
just it's a
rolled worse.
D4, but with an M on one side. So, or D5 with an
Right.
M on one side.
So Wolverine makes just a strike against your lower leg, and
I know
manages
why
to-
it does. I know why it looks like that sometimes so often. It's because when you roll trouble, you use the worse. So if it comes up the same number again, it's because you rolled higher on the reroll.
Okay. That would make sense.
That would make sense.
Ah.
You-
Okay.
It's not just giving you a second one and then you're
right.
comparing. Nice. I'm happy about
Okay,
that.
That's good.
better. That's better.
Yep.
That's better than I thought. Okay. 22 damage, though.
He is in attack stance now, though, so that means you actually take.
Well, wait. Actually, I reduced.
Instead-
I have damage reduction 1, so I. Oh no, and I don't right now. Never mind.
I was gonna say you don't right now
You
because
do
you don't
not
have powers.
have that yet.
So you take 22. You actually take 29 damage on that one.
Still up.
And it's back to your turn.
Just bleeding from several places, like blades locked with claws. I thought you're supposed to be better at this than I am.
You just took my accent.
Spanish and Scottish accents are very close. Yeah. I thought you were supposed to be better at this. I'm just gonna drop the accent. I thought you were supposed to be better at this than I am. So we're gonna go with a fast attack this time.
$17.
17. I believe meets it, beats it. So yeah, you managed to score a tag on him. He has damage reduction 1, so that 18 is going to become a 12. So that he only takes 16 damage. But for the first time,
Yeah.
some of Wolverine's blood hits the ground.
And I rolled a 6 on the Marvel die, but that's not a fantastic success, right?
No, the Fantastic is a
Correct.
1 on the Marvel die.
That's weird.
Right.
That's
Mhm.
backwards.
No,
It's really cool because it's 616.
And
Or
it also
616.
means that your Marvel die can fail less hard than any of your other dice can.
it means your Marvel die can fail less hard. It means that you can crit on a failure still and still have good stuff happen.
Okay.
And then it sets up, you can either have an 18 or a super fantastic, the 616 roll.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Basically, the Marvel D6 instead of going from 1 to 6 goes from 2 to M.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's no 1 on there.
But so you see that strike, Calavera, and then to zero surprise of you, you immediately watch that flesh begin to knit itself back close, just leaving the blood running down his forearm as he heals 5 points at the beginning of his turn because of his regeneration.
Well, I just made a couple $100.
Got a hit in.
Oh, do you bet that she'd actually be able to draw blood?
Yeah, the odds makers had really, really high odds, so I figured I'll put $10 in.
Bad enough.
10 to 1 odds.
Anyway,
20 to 1.
Scion, I came here to inform you that once this is over, I would appreciate it if you would follow the body to Arbor Magna.
All right.
I want you to see the process.
All right. Fair enough.
And under no circumstances do we talk about this with your father, you understand?
Oh, yes, I get it. Resurrection. Big
Correct.
no for outside. I understand. I haven't said anything so far.
Good.
And to point out, he has an ass.
Give me I'll say another vigilance check.
Okay.
What is her ego defense?
I'll take that.
Oh, her ego defense isn't fantastic.
Really?
Well, I mean, compared to her other shit.
Compared to our other shit. Okay,
right.
that's
She's
fair.
still a 14, but still.
That's fair.
Right, yeah.
Do you get edge for being
you get that she's having an internal reaction to that, but the face is still motionless. Just
Yep.
schooled in this absolutely impenetrable shield of quiet pleasantry at the moment.
Right.
She's attending a significant social event, even if it does happen several times a week at minimum, but still, but as regards Tony not asking about certain things, well,
Yeah.
all right.
Now, out of carry, that doesn't mean that he hasn't planted scanning stuff in Scion's bags or whatever without her knowledge. But
Yep.
Okay, I thought so. Edges and troubles can stack and multiply. They just cancel each other out.
Yep. You see Wolverine prepare for another strike, and this time, Calavera, you hear him just sort of growl under his breath. We'll see you on the other side, kid. As he's going to make a focused fury attack.
Uh-oh.
So he makes a close attack with edge. So we start with that.
Let this be the one time he misses. Come on.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Give me that. Narratively.
Jesus Christ. This thing refuses to... I'm going to try one thing. Maybe it's mad that I'm popping it out.
Mine hasn't been.
Okay. We refresh once more.
And in fairness, I feel like Sunday is probably a pretty popular day for Roll20.
I mean, that's fair.
Probably.
Oh no!
He doesn't miss.
And he rerolls with
Did
edge.
not miss.
I'm gonna say, he's gonna hit either way. So let's crit fish this one. Yep,
Oh,
there it is.
Crit fish.
All right. So yeah, this one you just see him lock down, those eyes narrow, and he comes at you like a bullet.
And it's the last thing you see.
He spent let's see, close attack. For every 2 points of focus he spent 15.
This is the quickest I've ever died in a game.
So 5 to start, and then 10 more, so he gets an extra 5 damage.
So I'm out.
So that's 37,
I'm at
40
below
something.
zero. How does
Yeah,
dying
no.
work in
And
Marvel?
you guys just watch as Wolverine's claw goes in at the lower part of Calavera's abdomen and comes up and literally does not stop moving until Calavera's lower jaw just literally pops off of her face and flies partway across the arena. And he stops and then just shakes the body.
Arcana like looks away at that for a second.
What do you think the would it be a resilience roll to not get physically sick at that?
Probably.
Okay.
I would say, yeah. If you feel like your
Partly-
character might be slightly less than stoic of stomach,
I feel like San hasn't really encountered much real world gore in her life.
mm-hmm.
Probably queasy, maybe not throw
Probably.
up.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
yeah.
you feel the bile and you genuinely turn away.
Absolutely look
Yep,
away, turning green.
and you feel a cool hand on your shoulder, and you feel your mental resolve bolstered just slightly.
Arcana looks away as well and is, you'd think if you were going for resurrection, you might want to not do that to a body.
She just kind of instinctively leans into the hand.
At that comment, actually, Arcana, she glances to you. It might be helpful for you, then, to see how the process proceeds.
I'm going to be honest, it's going
to
be difficult to look at that.
But she says that you should probably go as well.
All right, it's not like Magic's going to be surprised to see me, I guess.
And you see a few other mutants who were sort of standing on the side as Wolverine sort of shakes most of Calavera's blood off of him, and then just pulls off his flannel and starts using it as a sponge, and just sort of bends down and puts a hand at the side of Calavera's corpse's temple just for a moment. We'll see in a few hours. And we move our scene.
Yeah.
Or at least prepare to. Agate is looking slightly greener than he was before as well. And just kind of shakes his shoulders. I think I need a drink.
Have fun with that.
Yeah. And just kind of steps up and sort of shaking his head, walks out of the arena in the general direction of the Green Lagoon. And the two of you follow Emma Frost out of the arena in a different direction.
Yep.
And again, wherever, like as Arcana is walking, she's just kind of trailing lights because she's still trying to vent slowly rather than quickly.
Right. Yeah, then just sort of probably somewhere like right between the two of them, both for a buffer because she knows how her mom can be, and just because it's the most comfortable place to be.
Yeah.
We head towards resurrection time.
Arbor Magna is a massive tree near the center of the island of Krakoa. And inside, some of the most important work for perpetuating mutant society and mutants as a species takes place on a daily basis. As you walk down the stairs leading towards this interior chamber, there are a group of 5 mutants clustered around you would call it kind of a workspace. It's this open chamber, and then they are specifically positioned around a sort of wooden receptacle made out of branching tendrils of plant and fiber that sort of grow out of the ground into this slightly slanted concave area. One activates his powers and begins to produce and create a oblong golden object, probably about 3 or 4 feet across, about twice that long. And another one steps up while this girl with long red hair jams a large syringe into this egg-like structure and compresses it, filling it with a DNA sample, as Emma will explain to you. The second mutant comes up, and there's a distortion in the air as Proteus makes this egg a viable host template. While another, known as Elixir, kind of golden skin, little shaggy but shorter cut blonde hair, places his hand over top. And anybody who wants to can give me a vigilance check as well.
All right.
Except for the dead person, obviously.
Anybody who's alive in there. 13. Not bad.
Vigilance.
17.
Nice.
Both of you can tell that the redhead who had done the initial injection is actively utilizing her powers through this whole process. And Arcana, as your attention is drawn to that person in particular, she looks over at you, gives you a brief wink, but then her focus reverts right back to what she's doing. And Emma kind of leaning forward in a low voice. That's Hope. She is the necessary nexus that allows them all to work in concert.
I'll try not to interrupt, she says, still sparking,
That would be
flashing.
That would be a terrible idea. You'll be on your own for a moment. My services will be required towards the end.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen. Arcana says that she's still like sparking.
But you then see a girl with kind of darker hair towards the back, but bleached to a white on the forehalf with these 2 long side locks hanging down. Come on, Josh, let's go. He just kind of nods and smirks and then pulls his hand back. And then this girl steps forward and you see a strange visual effect. There's the egg itself is slightly transparent. And the soup inside it, whatever liquid mixture of biological concoction that remains within, begins to move almost like it's in time lapse. You see a slurry form into a fetus, which begins to rapidly age itself into an adult form, more or less. And you can see the naked silhouette of Calavera's body manifest in the space of only about 15 minutes into a more or less mature version of the same age she was when she entered the arena at that point. And then Emma steps forward.
I feel like by traditional definitions, that's less of a resurrection and more of a reincarnation.
Just wait. I've heard about this part.
She holds her hand out to the egg. And a helmet of sorts with a lens on the front in the shape of an X is brought over by Proteus and placed on her head. And you can see the technology activate. And there is a spasm from within the egg. Calavera, everything went dark there for a minute. as you felt yourself getting effectively unzipped. There was a flash of pain, and then suddenly your eyes snap open. You are surrounded by a thick liquid, and you can see on the outside of this membrane shapes moving.
So
your memories are intact.
Give
me a vigilance check.
Do my
Go ahead.
memories stop? Like the last thing I remember was being hit by Wolverine, or did I have any consciousness in between those 2 points?
You did not have any consciousness in between those 2 points, and the last thing you remember is seeing the blade sort of enter your abdomen, feeling that initial little flash of pain and that knowledge of, oh, this is the death blow. You don't experience the full trauma of the deceasing.
Gotcha. Okay.
If that's a word.
But vigilance check?
Make me go ahead and make me a vigilance check. Yep. And you have edge on this one.
Fantastic 14 at the moment.
Fantastic 14 at the moment.
Yes.
Still a fantastic 14.
Yep. The very first thing that you notice is you can feel your bones again. And then you hear a crystal clear voice in your mind. All right, now, come on now.
Okay. I hope no one's standing close to the egg then.
The only one who's standing close to it right now is Emma. Let's see how she does.
6 large, almost spider-like claws of bone just erupt from Calavera's back, like going from shoulders, mid back, and then like hips, and just burst out of the egg and spider down to latch onto the ground.
You guys see Emma move exactly 6 inches to the left so that 2 of the legs just shift over onto each side of her, and she's got a good, 8 inches between them, where she's not hit. And then just very quietly takes a step back.
And there's just like this sort of steam coming off as her body heats up from her healing factor and everything reactivating. And as she stands up from the egg, her face, like from the nose up, is completely covered in a skull. That allows for her hair to flop down to one side, and the rest of her body is her tastefully nuded by having bone armor having emitted from the various points to cover her in a bikini fashion style, but also just instinctively protecting the critical organs.
Comics code friendly bone protection.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Hope looks down at a panel in like a tablet that she's holding. It's got like this wooden frame around it, very clearly of Krakoan design. Okay, well, Callie, that's you sorted. Emma, you gonna take it from here then? She kind of gives a nod. All right, well, guys, we got a busy day today, so let's work around to the next one. And
love the business
Tempest sort of just pats you on the shoulder gently, Calavera, and welcome back.
Thank you. And the bones just immediately suck back in, with probably an unsettling sound of like sort of meat sucking sound, as everything collapses back inside, and she's just standing there completely naked.
At this point, Vincent, reincarnation generally makes you a new person with the same soul.
I was more referring to the traditional D&D role-playing game kind of reincarnation, but yeah, sort of, yeah.
New body, same person.
Cloned body, actually.
Still new.
But yes.
I typically more equate a resurrection with like fixing the old body and putting them back in it kind of thing. But reincarnate, it typically means you have been brought back into a new form kind of thing, you know.
Hey, how you doing?
Are there any clothes nearby that have been like set aside?
Nope.
Or no? So yeah, so just looks around. Is addressed. Oh, hello.
Hi.
As she waves a hand raises a hand to wave, just like a bones, like a full body suit made of bone, just erupts from her skin and wraps around her.
Oh, good. That makes this far less uncomfortable and awkward.
Also, because she was completely naked, you could tell she is trans.
Right.
Well, that's everything I had for all of you. I'm certain that this educational procedure will be helpful for you in finding your place here going forward.
Arcana like opens her
AK
mouth like she's gonna retort for a second and then just decides not to say anything.
AKA don't die, even though it's fine if you do.
If that's the lesson that you take away from it, well, I won't be disappointed.
All right. It's a good start.
Arcana
I
just
believe
sort of
traditionally at this point, young people of your age go to the Green Lagoon.
Yes, that was what I was going to suggest. I was going to suggest a drink in general, but the good is a place for any. You feel like a drink?
Oh yeah.
Go. Come on, let's go. I'll buy.
I will follow.
All right. So our scene shifts to the Green Lagoon. As you walk in, actually, let me see.
do we stop and get clothes for Calavera before we
You
head to the
absolutely
Green
can.
Lagoon?
Yeah, he drank. Okay.
I get twisted.
Agate's tipsy right now. So yeah, stop off, grab some clothes for Calavera. Housing and that sort of thing is always provided in one of the Krakoan habitations for anybody who lives here. It's one of the primary laws of Krakoa is that we respect this sacred land, partially because it provides. The island grows shelter, food, and clothing, and pretty much anything you need for basic existence is freely accessible, and there's no need for anybody to go without. The ecosystem is vibrant and powerful enough that everybody's basic needs are covered. Medicinal herbs and fruits are accessible. The ability for medical treatment and recovery is widely provided. It is, in a great sense, for these, at least on this surface, a very utopian existence on the island. Krakoa manages that by taking a very small tithe, in effect, absorbing some of the latent X gene energy from everybody there. Given that there's so many mutants, nobody even really notices for a large part. And it's considered more or less a symbiotic exchange, where the land draws on us and in turn provides for all of our basic needs.
On the way to the Green Lagoon, Arcana will just I need to stop by my place for a second. I need to discharge into a capacitor or I'm gonna start firing things. This is going too slow.
No problem.
So what's Arcana's dwelling look like then, with all of those criteria?
She probably didn't ask for much, just a small workshop space that had been grown up around for her that she's brought a bunch of equipment into and set up. Very specifically, in like off to one side in the room, there is a large like standing apparatus with like metal clamps for hands and feet that she sort of steps into, and like large like battery tank, essentially like series of batteries adjacent to it that she just sort of unleashes as she latches herself into it, and you can see the like increasing glow of everything around, and then over time the glowing of the lines on her body and of her eyes begins to dim down to a much more reasonable ambient glow as she vents out her excess buildup of mana, and you see the batteries in the room begin to fill up as she then allows whoever needs energy resource off of that to feel free to pull from the batteries if they need it. Because
yeah, no, generally, even after you top them off like this, by the time you get back for next run, they're always at least down to 80% or so, sometimes a bit more.
And anyone who needs to pull from that energy source is welcome to, because she's literally pulling from the cosmos. So
absolutely.
Yep.
And so she steps in, vents enough energy that her ley lines sort of die down to a like still visible but not like literally giving off luminescence at the moment.
Right.
And then steps back out.
Okay.
That's better. All right, let's go.
All right.
So you all move to the Green Lagoon.
Yep.
It's a nice open bar sort of area. There's a big arcing counter behind which an absolutely massive individual who is at least as wide as he is tall, with a particularly magnificent mustache, is mixing and serving. Blob is the proprietor here. And Fred Dukes is known for his brand of hospitality, which generally involves everybody getting everything they need. And hopefully, if he's very, very lucky, he gets to close up within a couple hours of midnight. But
without any fights having
any fights happening. Yeah. You do see a pair of individuals actively engaged in an arm wrestling match. Well, it's less of an arm wrestling match and more one person using one arm and another person using two arms, because when you have four arms, an arm wrestling match is 2 against 1 for a lot of people. And there's a lot of like conversation and shouting back and forth as Wrong Slide and Forearm are expressing their particular proclivities in a productive way that also allows for some gambling. So that's nice. But one of the first people you see sitting off by himself in a corner is Agate on one side of the bar.
Yep. Raise a hand, head over that way. Got started without us.
Oh, hey. Yeah, it's oh, hey, you're up and walking again.
She nods. I still don't know.
You should have
any of
seen
your
it.
names.
Right. That is actually a really fair point. I'm Evangeline Thion. Take your pick. I'm not picky about which one.
Yes,
We don't call her Evie.
Shani Dragonheart or Arcana, depending on how you feel.
Maria or Calavera, depending.
Right. And Agate.
Yep, that's me.
Just Agate?
I mean, my last name's Henriksen, for what that's worth. Bjorn Henriksen, but you know, I go by Agate. It's easier.
Fair.
My first name means bear. Maybe I would have stuck with it if I had actually had like some bear powers when those manifested. But no, this is me. So I just go by Agate. Because, you know, and it does have a vaguely, sort of semi-precious gemstone agate-like texture to it.
All right.
And then you hear another voice, and I'm Mistral, as a girl comes over, fairly slight, with these kind of bird-like wings emanating out of her back, but they're not like actual physical bird wings. They look honestly more like they're made from hard light or some sort of translucent energy. And there's little cascades of kind of like bioluminescent sparkles that come down.
Mistral.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So Agate, what do you?
Agate gets
I'll
real
just,
quiet and just takes a very deep drink.
I'll just order a Bob will know. Calavera, what are you drinking?
It looks. Is there any clear indication of what kinds of alcohol are available, or is this a you know what they have if you know what they have?
No, there's like you can see bottles that are they're not like produced elsewhere and shipped in. This is all Krakoan production. And Blob has a whole bunch of things that look like, there's little signs on the bottom of the shelves, ales, beers, whiskeys. There's a couple that are on the bottom shelf that are labeled like vodka-ish, tequila ? Right. Where he's basically just made his best guess as to what sort of alcohol this most likely approximates.
Right.
But this is shit where, some of this is just Krakoa dropped off a crate of fruit and I squeezed it into a bottle and it turned out that, that it was Everclear. So,
Yep.
So just like really quickly scanning, gets to the tequila ? Points at that.
All right. Arcana.
Blood and sand, please.
All right. I'll raise my hand. Wait till Rick comes over.
Right.
Order
Yep.
all of those, and then a champagne for me.
I don't know if anyone mixes drinks in this bar, but
Oh no, there's definitely mixes.
Certainly mixed
Absolutely.
drinks,
No,
yeah.
mixtures. Yeah,
Also,
no.
is there
Blob is actively, as you raise your hand, in the middle of tossing something in the air before he sets it down and comes over to grab whatever you guys are interested in. Yeah.
This is my first time being here. Is this a place that also serves food? Because I could
Yes.
eat a bear.
Yeah.
You're hungry too?
Eat
All right. What do you want?
meat.
All right.
Help us out?
order a chicken wings, please.
Sorry,
I mean, it's not really
Mistral.
a chicken.
Whatever's the bird, come on.
Okay.
Mistral, sorry. What are you getting?
Oh, I'm just gonna have the thing that's kind of like absinthe, but not as fucky uppy.
You know what? Check for champagne. Give me that.
Okay. Yeah, two
Two of
of
those. Yeah.
two of the
Yep.
bottom of the lagoons. Yeah. Okay. And
For reference, the blood and sand is scotch, cherry liqueur, sweet vermouth, and blood orange juice.
Oh yeah,
That actually sounds really good.
that does sound really good.
But once he heads off, so I don't know if this is a too personal question to ask, but what did it feel like?
Thinks about it for a
AK,
second.
I don't know if this is too personal a question to ask, but I don't care if I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah. Just thinks about it for a second. I mean, the only way I can really describe I can't. It hurt, but it was kind of like just being. Have you ever imagined what it feels like when you unzip your coat? Like to the coat.
Oh, I was gonna say no. I've worn a coat before,
Right.
And I know
I've
exactly
unzipped
what
a
that
coat.
feels like.
Like how the
But
coat
yeah,
feels
okay.
when you unzip it.
I've never questioned that, but now I'm curious.
Well, think about how a coat might feel if you were to unzip it, and that's what it felt like.
I'm an animist. I've asked that question a lot.
I
Never
mean-
thought of a pleasant answer.
Fair.
Oh shit,
I-
you're a shapeshifter?
No, I'm an animist. It's a faith.
Agate just kind of blinks at you.
Fair enough. Fair.
I'll explain it
I
later.
wasn't talking
Okay.
about the death so much as the other part.
Oh. The coming back.
Yes. Because I'm in a
Roll me
weird
ego
position.
for Calavera.
Yeah.
I'm in a weird position where I actually remember my birth, but it didn't feel like birth. It just felt like falling on a beach.
Got a 10 on the ego.
Oh, and 10 on the ego. There's a hole. There's a gap or a stutter in your memories. They're seamless to an extent where one event follows another. And granted, this only happened a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a chunk chopped out that has been seamed together. But you can sort of still feel that very hairline crack or boundary.
If you've got a line of metal and you chop a part out and stick
Right.
the two ends together and weld them together, they're one piece now, but there's that weld seam.
And when you reach out and sort of mentally touch it, pain and pleasure exist on two ends of a spectrum to an extent. And the mixture of them is where things get iffy for some people. It is a void where rather than having a blending of the two, it's like you eliminated both, and the gap that was left behind when you don't have either sensation available to you at all, there is a nothingness that is not entirely reassuring.
So the part before I was in an egg, sort of nothing there.
Okay. I guess that makes sense.
Between dying and being in an egg, I don't know. The being in the egg was sort of like I've been trying to grab a hold of fire for the past little while and haven't been able to actually reach it, and then finally I got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then and as she gestures with her hands, just from a seam on the back of her on the back of both arms, a large bone blade just erupts out on both hands, so making basically effectively like long swords. And now that I've got it, I feel whole, and then the bone reintegrates again.
I mean, fair
There's
enough.
a little bit of residual blood, and then the wounds close over.
Yep.
Also, that's legitimately cool.
At least somebody who's new here seems to like what they got.
I mean, it's less liking what I've got and more it's all I've ever known until it was taken from me. And then it was like, you know that feeling
If I had
you know that feeling you get when you're going up a flight of stairs and you forget that last step? That, but your existence.
I mean, if someone took this from me, she says, indicating to the lines across herself, I don't know if I'd be willing to die to get it back.
Fair. I probably would have agreed before it was taken from me.
Well, you also don't occasionally just make reality go weird or set things on fire because you haven't vented recently.
No, but I do stab myself from the inside out every day.
Fair enough.
Well, look, drink.
Yep. Drinks are brought. Food is brought. The food is, you ordered wings, which, most of the time that you've had them for Arcana, they're about yay big in several pieces. These guys are like the difference between a chicken wing and a turkey wing.
Yeah.
Take it one more step.
Okay.
So these are basically wing pieces, obviously, structurally, but they're about the size of like your average red and fair turkey leg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And Anil, who's this very sort of lizard-like guy with very human face, but he's got like these scales and spikes going down the back of his head, almost mohawk fashion, comes out with this plate of steaming food and just sort of sets it down. All right. Yeah, no, this is what we've got for wings today. So
I mean, it looks like meat and it looks like delicious, so hand it over.
help yourselves.
Fair enough.
And it's seasoned with a kind of a lime barbecue-esque sort of fusion flavor.
Good enough.
Calavera is currently
But
doing
there's
that orphan that hasn't eaten in 3 days, or Super Saiyan eating style, where you're
Right.
pretty confident she's not tasting anything. It's just going in.
it's just going down.
Right. Being regrown out of nothing takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
It does. But as we eat some food and take a bit of time to relax with new friends, that's where we're going to take a break for a moment.
Yeah.
Those of you that are watching live, please stay tuned for these commercial messages. And remember, when we take our break, you take your break. So stand up, stretch your legs, move around, do whatever you need to do, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. And we're back. A dinosaur story.
Okay. So you all are taking some time after either witnessing and or experiencing something both ritualistically and socially and culturally extremely significant, but also possibly equally as traumatic.
Right.
You've made 2 new friends, Mistral and Agate, some of whom you knew before, and some of whom you're meeting
I've
for the
made
first
4
time.
new friends. Crystal and Aga and San and Arcana. Like,
Legit.
Calavera and San might have spoken to one another at some point, but Calavera is like new arrived yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
No, you've only been here for a couple of weeks. Yep.
so don't really know anybody yet.
Yep. So then it's gonna be like, all right, so what is everybody's story?
All right. Uh. Well. I grew up in southern states. Southeastern end. Mother's Scottish. Father's an army man. Met them in a UK army base. Came back here. Uh,
Well, not here.
you
Unless
know,
are your parents? Do you
came
have
back to the
parents?
states.
Oh, okay.
Came back to the states. The
Was that a gate or
That was
Agate?
Agate. Yeah.
Agate.
Yep.
father's an army man. Mother works for Stark Technologies now.
Okay.
The kind of conservative ideas that get put in people in the army. Father didn't really take super well to me coming out as genderqueer in my teenage years, but sort of at the very least, he's my father and he cares about me, so he did his best to try and broaden his worldview. It wasn't easy for him, but he tried.
Fair enough.
I grew up your standard nerd, fondness for fantasy novels and for engineering. Did a lot of fun working with technology as I grew up. Was on a lot of online forums talking about things like Thor and Loki and them being real actual people that exist.
Right.
And about how questionings about how much of mythology is real and how much is just an exaggeration through the lens of history.
It's weird, right?
Yeah. Like how much of Norse myth is actually just actual Thor?
Right.
Talking about how Tony's suit works, questions about that on engineering forums and stuff. Obviously, we've never gotten actual plans for it, so.
Oh, so your mom's not like. Okay.
No, she works on one of the local labs where I used to live. She's not like high end. She's just local tech lab. But my powers woke up around 21.
Oh shit.
As I understand it, it was just after M Day, so I was one of the first ones to wake up to their powers in the aftermath.
Wait, hang on. Some people don't get their powers until later in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare, Mistral says, but it's known to happen.
I got, as far as I've understood from conversations with magic, linked to Cosmos, like far end, the raw energies of magic. This, she says, indicating to the ley lines across, started showing up. And it keeps coming. You know how when you breathe in particularly hard, your lungs feel tense and your chest sort of gets tight and you have to exhale? There's a part of me that's always breathing in, and I don't exhale automatically.
Oh, shit.
I try not to breathe too hard or I might poke something.
The magic just keeps coming in over time. And if I don't do something to let it out, it keeps building until it explodes, sometimes literally.
And that's why you're venting.
Yeah,
It's your exhaust port, so to speak.
sort of.
Pressure valve kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I once leveled a whole field of grain when I had to run out and didn't when I couldn't before I figured out how to build things to vent. I've felt a really bad episode coming on, and I ran out into an open field, and there wasn't much of an open field left afterwards.
Yikes.
So you enclosed it?
I burnt it mostly to the ground.
Logic -2.
Fair enough.
But eventually, I didn't really have access to, anything like Strange's University or anything to learn how to do actual magic, so I had to figure it out for myself.
Right.
Mistral looks up. Strange has a university?
So I've heard, at the very least.
That's got to be so weird.
But I was out wandering one day, and I ran across a old tech lab, abandoned, off the radar. Best I could tell, it was probably built by some mad scientist villain in some kind of big mad scientist plan to do something horrible to the world. But apparently they had been grabbed at some point, and their lab got left behind. Didn't really matter to me. There was equipment there, so I got to work.
Yeah.
I started building everything that I could. I didn't have access to, my mother worked at a Stark Tech Lab. Didn't mean I could just walk in and take some gear.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But I did a lot of experimentation. I eventually managed to build some things that would let me sort of channel and expel the reserves that keep building up. The standing device in my home that I use to do large vents is one of the first things I built. And then over time, I started building more compact things that I could wear, like these gloves, so that I could try and do something to help vent it and control it without causing harm to people around me. It took me
okay.
years to try and figure it out.
But no, those gloves are like Cyclops' visor.
Kind of, yeah. She sort of holds the hand up, and the fingers start to again glow the sort of golden color as the sort of like lights and sparks sort of dance around her hand.
Right.
I can do basic magic by channeling it through these gloves and using them to sort of form spells. I don't know a whole lot of the traditional sorcery, which when I got the call, I came here, and Magic has been trying to help teach me some more traditional sorcery to augment the techno magic that I've been building for myself.
Agate kind of drops both of his fists on the table. Sometime you're going to tell me what it's like working with the war captain.
She's a bit surly and short in temper, but she's fun. She and I spend a lot of time talking shit of however we need to.
I'm gonna be honest, all I just heard was hot and hot and hot.
She doesn't make fun of my accent, mostly because she knows other people make fun of hers, which is fine.
Mistral is looking at her fingernails, and then as Scion says that, just kind of gives you the point.
When the call went up, I headed up to New York, and I found the gate that exists in what's left of the School for Gifted Youngsters.
And then you're here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Speaking of gates, well, if you guys want to do more story time, but remind me, I have a thing.
Okay.
Mistral says.
Mistral says, okay.
Yeah.
So if you want good news, if you want access to a little bit better start, you might have an opportunity. So obviously Emma's my mom. You guys, well, Caliber you might not have seen because
Who?
but Emma Frost.
Blank look on her
Give
face.
me a logic check. Anybody?
12.
12. You know that that Krakoa is ruled by something called the Quiet Council, which is somewhere between 8 to 15 mutants who are effectively the leaders of this sovereign nation. Emma Frost is one of them.
Oh, one of the ladies in charge, Emma Frost.
Dresses in white a lot. Always looks like she's walking off a runway. It's really annoying. Yeah, that's my mom. And Tony's my dad.
I didn't know they were a thing.
Give me a logic check. And I'll give you edge on this since your mom works for Stark Tech.
Yeah.
Can I have a logic check to see if I know who Tony Stark is?
Sure.
Use an edge.
Hey, 14.
You've heard of Tony Stark in the same way that most people have heard of, like, Jeff Bezos and stuff. And he's one of the leading members of the Avengers, probably the most famous superhero team on the planet.
Wait, hang on. So, like,
you did not know he had any kids.
You're rich?
I mean, yeah. Honestly, yes. I'm not but so they're not together, and that's sort of where it got weird. So a few years ago, this is how I understand it happening. I don't know all the details. Avengers and X-Men were in a fight. Apparently this happens a lot on this in this world. And something happened with the one of the Avengers, Scarlet Witch. I guess they call her the Pretender a lot here. Anyways,
Hey, Calavera, that's the woman who's responsible for you losing your powers.
Yeah, she's the one that took everything away from us.
Yeah. It's but
it was a great day, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's a lot around that. It's complex, it's mental health stuff. She's not so bad. I've only met her like once, but she's not so bad. I have more memories of her than that, but that's where it gets complex. So apparently there was she through some of her magic, it hit mom and dad, and I guess it pulled me out of the potentiality of if they had been together.
Multiverse theory question. Are you a new creation out of probability?
That's a real good question.
Or are you pulled from a potential alternate reality that might be missing you right now?
That's a very good question. I don't know.
Huh.
Here's what I can tell you. I remember being a kid. I remember living with my dad because my mom was on the run because, us. And also she was kind of a terrorist and doing bad shit.
Something we have in common.
And I remember a lot of that, and I remember that I have very few memories of them together growing up, but they knew each other, obviously. And they would meet up and the like, and I had some interactions with Emma's people. I had some interactions with Tony's people, and then all of a sudden I'm on a goddamn beach. And things that sort of threw a damper in them for the fight, apparently. I ended up deciding I wanted to live with Tony. I have for the past few years. But
Do you call him
no,
Tony?
it's weird. I call him dad and I call him because it's not. It's my dad, but it's not my dad.
It's a version of your dad that doesn't know, that doesn't have
Like,
the years of growing up with you, kind of thing.
as far as my memories are concerned, that's my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as his memories are concerned, I'm not. And it took him a long time to get used to that concept. I still don't think he is. I know Emma isn't. So
Is
sometimes I
the
call him
dad you
Tony
remember
Stark.
from being a kid seem like a different person from the dad
No,
that
it's
you were?
it's pretty much the same person. There's
Okay,
differences,
no, that makes it less. That just makes it weirder, probably.
right?
Does he have
Yeah,
memory?
that
Do they
also
have
makes it.
memories
That
of
also
you? Or
No,
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 apparently not.
they have no knowledge of me.
They don't.
I
As far as you're concerned, you sprang into existence on a beach somewhere a couple years
it's
ago.
it's like it's like they had a kid without the problems of pregnancy, which I think Emma at least appreciates. But they had a kid who was 15 when she came out,
And they weren't married or involved or
and they weren't married or
particularly
involved
liked
or
each other
anything.
at the time.
Well, I've heard word that they've known each other, and I'm just gonna leave that the way it to your imagination. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's fact. I'm just saying sometimes when you hang out with like the some of the junior Avengers,
Give me a
they've
vigilance
heard
check.
some things. Okay.
Anybody who wants to.
18.
10, no.
15.
Calavera and Scion. You notice Mistral has her phone out and is doing something under the table.
Don't. No.
I'm leaving your
No.
name out of it. I promise.
No, please, no. You know what? Fuck
Fine.
it, I don't care.
Okay. And she just pulls her phone up and is
I'm gonna
apparently
be in
on
so
some
much-
message board. Don't worry. I'll keep you anonymous. It's fine.
Right, because there's so many other potential kids who are pulled out of the potentiality.
No. I'm just talking. Just the idea that Emma Frost might have a thing for Tony Stark is going to be island gossip for like at least a week.
Okay.
No, I'm not telling them where. I'm just putting it out there that hey, I've been hearing stories that maybe these two people might have had a thing at one point. Did anybody else know about this?
Fair enough.
I can't wait for
right.
out of character. I can't wait for it to like the response to be, "Duh! Look at this copy of fact." Like
Right.
15 news articles.
Just because people appear on the runway together doesn't mean they're a thing.
Right. Except sometimes they are.
Except sometimes they are, and then it's really
They seem like they run in the same kind of circles.
Yes, but no, because also Avengers and X like legitimately, apparently they fighting is like a Tuesday for us in the Avengers.
No, but I mean, like the whole like all the rich people know each other though, and
Right, okay,
your mom
that's
and your
true.
dad are both rich people.
That is true.
Oh man,
I
that
do
means you're like
know.
double rich, aren't you?
I mean, yeah, probably. But that is absolutely fair. Like, I know.
I think based on Jack's face, I think I just broke Mistral's brain.
Let me tell you someone you don't want to meet, Shinobi Shaw.
Who?
That dude is just an asshole.
You know, your mic cut out for a second as you were saying their name.
Shinobi Shaw.
Oh. Who?
Because that dude is just an asshole. Let me put it this way. He's hit on me more than once. I turned 18 about a month ago. So, you know.
Cool.
Anyways. So.
Oh yeah, he's a Hellfire kid.
Yeah, he's the fucking worst.
Okay.
This is all new to me. I have not been around here for that long.
That's fair. But yeah, I've been
Hellfire. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I've been living with my dad for the past 3 years. And then when but once I turned 18 specifically, I was like, hey, it's time. I need to know who I am. I need to be with my people for a bit. Tuck them into it, and I'm here.
That was
That's
a
my story.
really long story.
Agate leans forward. Mine's a little bit shorter. Grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Played football in high school. Tried to stand up for one of my classmates and had most of the defensive line try to beat the shit out of me because they thought that was the best way to show where my loyalties were supposed to lie. 2 broken ribs in, this happened. Our star kicker broke his shin because he hadn't noticed and was still trying to curb stomp me.
Good.
I mean, I wish I could take credit for it, but I didn't like, I wasn't like, ooh, tactics. Literally, it's just what happens when you try and kick a piece of granite full force.
I mean,
you hurt yourself.
Technically, your subconscious was like, this is the time for my power to activate. It was probably fight or flight.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, yes. In a way, you can take credit.
Okay, fine. I will take credit for that. That means I also have to take credit for the fact that our school lost regionals that year.
Acceptable losses.
I mean, I was about to say, if that's their defensive lineup, they deserved it.
Well, I mean, yeah, no. Anyway, and then that it was a really complicated couple years. And then when Professor X's announcement came out, I told my folks that they didn't seem like there was a lot of prospects for me locally and that I would stay in touch. And I was taking a gap year. My gap year has been about 9 months, and I think it's going to be another 20 or so years.
Nice.
Have you kept in touch?
I mean, like, yeah, we call,
Okay.
talk and stuff. Yeah. Not visited back once, so,
Cool.
It's a long trip down to Georgia, so it's been a bit since I visited my family.
Are there no gates down there?
Not really that I've seen.
There?
The closest gate that I was able to find was the one in New York.
I mean,
there's got to be one closer than that. But
That's the closest one I could find.
Mistral says,
there is one.
Speaking of gates, last story.
Oh, yeah, Calavera.
Yep.
Who is in the middle of still eating, showing his face full.
Right.
Yeah.
Wipes her face. Parents from Mexico. Parents were mutants. I grew up in a science lab where we were being inhumanely experimented on for our X genes, and then we escaped. We went to the States, which was a bad idea. I was separated from my parents at the age of 5 by the Border Patrol. And then they died to anti-mutant supremacists. And then I grew up on the streets in California. Have had my powers since I can remember, because that's part of why I was in a lab. And until recently, I've been fighting tooth and nail to survive against a group of far-right anti-mutant supremacists called the Right. They have mech suits. They're pieces of shit, but I can get through the mech suit. And then Wolverine found me.
Damn, that's a lot. Real fast.
I didn't.
And Arcana, there's a gateway in Columbus, Ohio, and there's one in Washington, D.C.
So slightly closer than New York.
I mean, about halfway between, maybe, but she just waves her phone. I do a lot of information shit.
Yeah. Been here like a few weeks.
No, that's still not much closer than New York, if I'm being honest here. Like,
Okay.
she pulls up her phone and looks at a map.
But anyway,
Well,
it's
I'm
technically closer than New York by at least a couple hours. Anyway.
Yes, there's a couple hours difference if I go straight to DC.
Mm-hmm. But those places get a lot of attention, so maybe going to New York was the better plan in that
fair.
case, depending. Yeah. No,
I'm feeling
I can fly.
very
Surprise.
cool. Yeah. I'm feeling very in touch with my privilege right now.
Calavera still eating food, just like.
Well,
you get used to it after a while, I guess.
probably.
We're gonna work on that. All right.
Agate's like, well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm just I grew up kind of hearing about all this superhero stuff, and honestly, it sounds very cool. And so I want to see if like maybe trying out for like a team or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not expecting to headline anything anytime soon, like if ever, but there's people out there that need help. And I think that would be really cool to use what I have to help them.
Fuck yeah.
And given what we have here, it's not like, oh, I need to have a job to pay rent and stuff. So
That is a nice thing about Krakoa. You don't really have to work for your living. You just live and then try and figure everything else out.
So
Mistral
really
puts her
in
phone
touch
down.
with my privilege.
Calavera finally stops
So
eating like 15 plates later.
Right.
Right.
So you're saying something about put a pin in something.
Well, like in terms of Krakoa and everything, which is a lot of fun and very
Right.
enjoyable.
Right. It's all right.
If you want to, and we were talking about gates and that sort of thing, if you want to, there are options to getting off the island without having to go too far and visiting some other interesting places.
Were you looking to have a field
And,
trip?
well,
Am I the oldest person here? She says, looking around the group.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm
How old are you?
I'm 30.
27. Okay, you're slightly older than
Okay.
me. Okay.
wow, you guys are like
second
grown-ups.
oldest person here.
Fuck. I mean, I'm 19, says Mistral, who Agate kind of points and is like, yeah, same.
I think I was older than most of you when my powers manifested.
I
It
mean,
happens. Don't feel bad. There's
You-
nothing wrong with you.
I turned 18 3 weeks ago.
yeah, no,
I was older than you when you manifested.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's how age works.
yeah.
I mean, it's weird in this case, I'll admit, a little, but also, if you're
Well,
older
yeah, I
than
mean,
I
somebody,
was older
generally,
than-
I was
most
correction.
of the time, you stay
I-
older than them.
My powers manifested later in my life than your literal existence, is what I
Well,
mean.
especially so because if you want to go by pure being brought into existence, I'm 3.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that.
But I'm like, but physically and mentally and every way that really matters, I'm 18. And so
Yeah.
Anyway, I found a rumor on the social chat here that there's a gate to Madripoor.
oh,
Isn't that the city that gets all the fucking shit in the news?
I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's just because it's outside the United States, so they assume it's a greasy backwater derelict.
I've literally never been there, but every time I hear it in the news, it's something catastrophic going
Logan
down.
told me about it once or twice.
But it's a little bit off the books. But if we wanted to stretch our legs and get to experience some stuff that's not all about, murdering people in arenas so that they can have their superpowers back. Maybe see
Is
what's
there a
down there.
reason
Maybe
going out there, or is it just for the field trip?
Well, I mean, yeah, field trip. It's Madripoor. There's like no fucking rules. It's great.
Are we gonna get in trouble if we go?
I'm of the opinion that if they don't want people to go, they wouldn't have put a gate there. And even if the gate is a little less publicly advertised, if they really don't want people to go, they'll turn it off.
That is a wonderful way of dodging that question.
As the person who is probably of the three of us been here the longest, are we just allowed to go and come and go whenever we please?
I assume that like somebody would tell us if we couldn't.
No, like this is out of character. This is me, the player.
There's not particular. The thing about coming and going is that the gates are keyed to mutants specifically.
Right.
So they generally stand open, and the idea is you always keep the door open in case somebody needs refuge. So yeah, transit for Krakoans through Krakoan gates is monitored, but not heavily restricted.
I mean, as long as we let people know where we're going, unless any of you have people that want you to stay here, you should all be fine.
I mean,
Look, somebody just went toe to toe with like an original X-Man. I feel like that deserves a drink somewhere other than the bar down the street.
I have not.
No
been
offense, Blob. He just kind of waves a hand. You're not sure if he was actually listening.
Right.
mean,
I
don't
have
mind.
not explicitly been told that I cannot go any particular place.
And I mean, like, given who your mom is, I feel like you would know or she'll know. And if
That's
she
not
needs
true.
something.
I was told not to go to Russia, the UK, and a couple of other places I don't remember.
But Madripoor wasn't on that list.
Laura, I don't remember it.
I mean, fair enough.
It was a big list. She could have forgotten, but she didn't explicitly say it. Therefore,
I feel like
it's
Emma Frost
on
is
table.
I feel like Emma Frost is the kind of person who would have been exhausted with her list.
Maybe.
I'm
Joe
sorry.
has a lot to do. I'm not worried about it. Let's go.
Why not? Let's take a trip to Madripoor.
I could use a stretch.
Yes. And Agate's like, sure, yeah, that sounds great. So, you guys finish your drinks.
Yep.
Agate grabs the last wing. And you all head out. The gate to Madripoor, Mistral leads you guys down and around into some of the more secluded areas around Arbor Magna and the primary center of the island. There's a hike of probably about an hour or so through the woods. And then coming down to a secluded cove, there is behind a section of dense plant growth, this massive wooden ring with various nodules on it and a rippling, opaque, luminescent surface. Any of you who have come through a gate before know what this thing is.
Like
It's
that's
effectively
all of us.
a plant-based wormhole. This is for our audience then.
Yeah.
A naturally grown teleportation boundary that you step through on one side and you pop out somewhere else on the globe. Or maybe not even on the globe, depending. It doesn't seem like there's anybody nearby or watching, per se. This feels like a sort of... It's almost got a little bit of a backdoor aspect to it. But based on what you guys have been told of gates, nobody who isn't a mutant can walk through this thing in either direction all that easily anyway, if at
Right.
all. So there you go. Mistral says, this comes out in a part, based on what they're telling me, in a place called Mutietown. Because, like,
Makes
a whole
sense.
bunch of us went there and actually helped things out a little bit and made it, because, like, you know, it's a lawless city, whatever. Criminals are all in charge, which, you know, is okay, sure, if you say so. But also sometimes that means it's not great for, you know, the working class. But so they did some relief work there, and they call it Mutietown now.
So you're saying we
Calavera's already walked through.
Krakoa went there and helped out, and in honor of the help, they named it a slur.
I mean, based on who they say kind of runs the place, I don't think they think of it that way.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just saying, whenever I have heard
Look, I'm just saying
the
there's
term
some
beauty,
terms that if the wrong people say them are slurs, and if the right people
Absolutely.
say them, then you can just reclaim it or whatever or something.
absolutely queer woman, I get it.
There you
But-
go.
But I was just making sure everybody was on. Where did Calavera go?
I walked through about 5 seconds ago.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I'll get her. And Agate just dives through.
We all
Calavera,
just walk through.
right. You come out the other side, and you're in a sewer, effectively. But it's like a big one. And there's a little walkway with fairly recently installed but already heavily stained handrail, and then the traditional X spray painted on the wall with just an arrow going up towards the top of a ladder nearby.
Assuming that everybody's right behind me, I'm just going to hop up to the ladder and start climbing.
So you put a hand on the ladder and you hear a thud bump clank as Agate literally combat rolls through the gateway and then slams his face more or less into the guardrail that's only about 5 feet out from the surface of the gateway.
So, hanging up on the ladder, look
okay.
over, see. You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I wasn't sure what our scenario was going to be, so...
And then just walking out a second later comes Arcana.
Really quick before she goes to the portal, Evangeline is going to telepathically send a telepathic message to the cuckoos.
Okay.
Hey, just letting you know, if I go missing, if Mom asks where I am, I went to Madripoor. Don't tell her before unless she asks. Okay, bye, and I'm gonna go through.
I really wish there was like a way that I could layer my voice over itself just over the mic. Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, and you're
There is just complicated.
right through. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
that way
Mistral
we
comes
have a
up
backup
behind.
if we get kidnapped or
Right,
something
exactly.
like
There
that.
you go. Yep.
They know where to start.
Right. So the 5 of you emerge into this area. All of you have a Krakoan communicator. It's effectively a proprietary cell phone, more or less, but it only calls other Krakoan communication devices. So you have to have a little bit of technical know-how. You can futz with the settings to try and loop into whatever local telecom network is there, but that requires a logic check of 12.
Does it text?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Take it out.
Agate slams his face first into the rail and says he wasn't sure what sort of situation it's going to be. Oh, I guess I should pulls it out and just texts Logan. Hey, went to Madripoor. LMK if you need anything.
As she's exiting, because Arcana has
go
two
ahead and
cell
give me that
phones.
logic check, because you will have to. Logan's on Krakoa right now, and it doesn't have, you don't get satellite, so you will have to try and find a network that can then link it up back to Krakoa.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point. But before she left, Arcana would have texted Magic and just say, "I'm watching over some kids heading to Madripoor. If anything goes wrong, find me there."
Okay.
I feel like sends that, doesn't even check to see if it actually sent successfully, and just puts
There
it
you
out.
go. You're just like, yeah, no, this is how this works.
In fairness, can I having come out? I was like coming out and immediately starting to patch in.
Yeah, go ahead and make a
Can I
logic check.
potentially caught that and like, if assuming I'm successful, like get that relayed over,
Possibly.
and oh wait, I need to roll the non-combat version. I keep rolling the combat version.
Combat logic, roll non-combat logic.
13.
13. It's a little tricky, but you managed to figure out an open network that you can loop into.
So with a 9, Arcana looks at it for a minute, tries to fiddle with it. This is not my usual brand of tech. Do you think you can figure this one out for me? Sort of holding out the communicator.
Oh yeah,
to
sure.
Scion.
Put it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
To yours.
Yeah. No. So yeah.
That's good.
Well,
Or
so
do I to roll
once,
since I already
doesn't-
got it the first time?
Yeah.
So what happens is you try and find the same settings for this, and then you realize, oh, what I can do is I can use mine as a tether spot.
Okay.
They can all. So it's going to be a little slower for everybody if they're trying to get out, but they can bounce it off of yours.
I am
and
the
then
mobile
use that.
hotspot.
You are the mobile
Yeah.
hotspot effectively
Okay.
at this point. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That'll do.
I sent your message along.
Thanks.
Yep.
No understanding of what that means.
Right.
Climbing ladder.
Amazing.
Where's that going?
Presumably out into.
I don't know. The
Mutietown.
X just pointed the way.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, no, this is the scummiest place you've probably been in the last several years.
Oh, yeah.
Scion, right. Yeah, it's actively, you are pretty sure that the longer you stay down here, the more likely it is you catch something communicable.
Right.
Meanwhile, smells
Fair.
like home.
But anyway, Madripoor is a place for the very rich and the very poor. There's very little in between. You are coming out in the very poor section. Immediately you're confronted by people and sounds and smells very much at odds with what you've come to accept as the status quo in Krakoa. There's crowds of people carrying things, moving things. There's lots of little shops and places, number of various bars. It's Principality of Madripoor is an island in Southeast Asia. So it is a very sort of kind of stereotypical, for those who haven't been there and aren't familiar with the nuances, you still recognize the sort of vibe that this place is giving off. Tons of both neon
Almost
lights
nice.
and oil lanterns and everything in between. Smells of animals and fish and food. Shouts of vendors and things going back and forth. It is a bustling place, but you are able to pick out, a lot of this stuff looks like a solid typhoon would level this section of town. But one thing you notice is that there is a few stories lit up, a much more sort of modern looking structure that looks like probably a hospital or something of that sort. But that's like probably 12 or 15 blocks away. And there's plenty of stuff to see in the meantime. The road that you're coming out on is, you can see a little ways down, several bridges going over. There's like a canal that's running across. But yeah, Lowtown, now known as Mutietown, Madripoor, is your guys to explore. What do you think your first impulses there would be?
Does it always, and real saying this, she realizes nobody here probably knows the answer. Does it always smell like this?
Smell like what?
Or did something just die nearby?
Oh no, this isn't the smell of something dying nearby. You'll know that one.
Great.
Arcana will very quickly check what the currency is on Madripoor on her actual cell phone, not her communicator.
Local, it's there's the Madripoor dollar. But odds are you can
Metropolitan dollar.
probably match currencies. If you've got some sort of cash, you could probably find somebody who might be willing to take it.
We're here to go to
might
a
not get a
bar,
great exchange
right?
rate if you're trying to just do it at
I
somebody's
say
shop. but-
Arcana's American, so she has like US dollars on
Yeah.
her.
Mhm.
Somebody said a bar, right?
Yeah.
If any of us are carrying cash, we're going to want to try and get some Madripoor dollars at some point.
I have no money.
I mean, it's a bar. It'll take a card, right?
Yeah, probably.
There you go.
Generally speaking, though, in this kind of section of town, it's whether it's a good idea to have cash on you depends on how well you can defend yourself. But generally speaking, it'll be easier to work with cash than card in a lot of places like this.
Well, normally if I need cash, I just mug someone and take it.
I don't think we're dealing with American cops here. I mean, to be fair, there's probably plenty of people that deserve it in Madripoor, but
I mean, if we're not dealing, it doesn't matter if we're dealing with cops or not. Sometimes I mug the cops.
no, that's what I mean. I would have assumed that the cops were the ones who were mugging, but you know.
Well, regardless,
Let's just find a bar that takes a card because it's probably going to be one of the clear bars.
you notice you're catching glances as you come through. Agate obviously stands out like a sore thumb in any crowd. Mistral,
Arcana literally glows.
right? Yeah, many of you don't pass as just bog standard human. So with that, you're getting looks.
So I noticed that and look back. I've got just the thing. This works for me every time. I reach into my bag and I just pull out a baseball cap.
Oh
and
no!
I just go put it on Agate.
Okay.
I just put a baseball cap on Agate.
I thought you were just gonna put a patch on.
No, and then I pull out some shades and I put them on Agate too. So he's got a baseball cap and some shades. Perfect.
And clearly wearing his mutant action training uniform still.
Right.
But you know, yeah, right.
Look.
I don't.
-2 luck.
He turns to Scion. Do I look cool?
You look super cool. You don't you don't blend in, but you look cool.
That's less about blending in and more about just not having the face visible, if I'm understanding it correctly.
Unfortunately, the rest of him's made of gems.
If he turns in a certain direction, he will blind someone.
A little kid runs up who's wearing effectively a larger pair of boxer shorts and most of a t-shirt. Comes up, yells something in a language you do. Does anybody here speak Filipino?
I don't believe so.
I have
a lot of languages, but I don't believe it's one.
Are languages just things that you just decide you know?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I feel like Calavera would speak several languages because of Logan. Like just because from him training her and like, look, you need to know the
He's
basics
not
of
much
these
of a
at
language
least.
guy, honestly.
As far as I understand, he actually knows quite a number of languages.
He knows a few. He's not great at teaching them.
Yeah, he's
Japanese
had lifetimes to learn them.
Yeah.
English, Spanish, and Japanese are probably.
I was going to say, I think are probably his main ones. Yeah, so Filipino probably not so much.
Probably not Filipino.
Yeah.
Right. But
I speak English, French, Japanese, and Russian, but no, not Filipino.
You'll be able to get by on the English and French here pretty well.
Yeah.
Arcana speaks English, Spanish, German, and Gaelic.
Okay. Very good. Well, this kid runs up, yells something cheerful in a language that none of you understand, and takes 2 attempts before Agate realizes he's trying to get a high five. Which he gets, and then runs off screaming at the rest of his friends down the block.
See?
who all turn back at you and kind of just do the jump and wave.
See? You're
Well, that's a
popular
good
now.
sign.
Arcana will just wave at the kids and let some like dancing lights and just like sparkle show come out of her glove.
Okay, well, we're popular here. That's good.
They did say they named it Mutietown after like humanitarian efforts.
Right.
So presumably
True.
Krakoans have a good rep in this section of the city at the very least.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Mutanitarian efforts.
We're still human.
That is a matter of
that's
some
that's not what the people that yell at me and shoot at me with robot suits tell me. So
Yeah, they're fucking idiots now, aren't they?
We are literally our genus and species is literally Homo superior versus Homo sapien. We are a different species of human.
Still, I would call us human because I don't
mean,
want
there
to. I
is
don't
the-
want to
you
lose my connection to
You
people.
share the genus at least,
Right.
But
I'd rather not lose my connection to people because that's how you forget how lives are important.
home
I don't disagree. I'm
well,
just
and I
saying.
mean, like one of the 3 laws: kill no man. You know,
Right.
I mean,
We're not supposed to kill humans.
right? Nobody's.
It's okay. You just got here. They didn't fly up until this point, I think. That was what Emma told me anyway. Not that I've killed people. It was to explain how she's gotten away with killing people.
Okay.
When you become
Agate,
Krakoa,
like,
you follow
yes,
Krakoa's
three
laws.
primary laws: kill no humans, respect the sacred land, make more mutants.
Right.
Those are the 3. There's other rules, but those are the big 3 that they sort of started everything on.
So don't kill anybody.
Don't kill humans. Be horny all the time.
Yeah, that is weird,
And-
like legislated fucking, you know?
Yeah, right.
I mean, granted,
and
there's
I-
not
I-
a lot of us, so, you know.
don't fuck up the island.
I feel like anyone who's asexual who comes out, whose X gene activates, is going to have some problems with that.
So that's
They're not gonna.
I asked about that, to be fair. It's not literally a mandate to breed because, like, there's plenty of ace queer
I mean,
that are mutant.
if I understand correctly, Scion was made without fucking.
Well, yes and no.
And
That depends on what I know and what happened.
Arcana, you recognize as well that technically what the 5 do, apparently, as their day job
Is making more
involves
mutants.
0 sex, but definitely involves making more mutants.
Yeah.
Also, I would argue that a chaos bolt from Wanda it may not be fucking, but is fuckery. So,
And to be fair, I think you can probably fulfill that 3rd rule by just helping new mutants get to Krakoa and realize their powers and so on.
exactly.
Yeah, no.
Look, there's a bar
it's
over there.
open-ended.
I say, pointing.
Very cool.
Yep. Let's go.
All right. So you guys head off into the wilds of Mutietown. There's bars, there's shops, there's restaurants, there's live entertainment, there's not live entertainment.
Wait, there's dead
and
entertainment.
there's movie theaters.
Oh,
Mine is 2 logic.
I mean, in fairness, if you find the right people in the black market, you might be able to find dead entertainment.
Right. Everybody's doing their best to maintain a level of decorum, though.
Yep.
Do you guys swing by that big hospital to see anything at any point?
was there a reason to?
Big hospital.
It was just the main primary physical landmark that you could see in the immediate area. But if you're not interested in hospitals, there's literally no reason to stop by.
I
Yeah, no,
mean,
not at all.
Yeah.
I would definitely make note of it because we are in Madripoor, so we may need to make use of it at some point.
I mean, that's fair.
I've got my healing factor back, baby.
Right? There's a few
Uh,
times where a couple of you break off to go check out one thing that somebody else wasn't
Right.
particularly interested in, and yada yada. But a few hours pass by, and while you're not necessarily, this isn't like, oh, it's a cult of personality, every mutant is widely welcomed with open arms. you guys are seeing a significant level of acceptance from the local population that might honestly be a little refreshing for some of you.
Madripoor is
I've started doing tricks with my bones, just like
Right?
watch me
Yeah,
scale
no.
a wall.
Right. Yeah, no. There's a couple shopkeepers who are like, "Oh yeah, no, welcome. Here's what we got. By the way, don't go, too far that direction. If you start
Right.
seeing the high rises, it's not going to be nearly as safe, kind of thing."
Fair enough.
I will keep in mind every warning one of them gives us and try and build an idea of where Mutietown ends and Racist Town begins.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Where does
Go
racist
ahead
town
and give
begin? I
me-
want to avoid it.
Everybody, go ahead and give me a vigilance check, though, as you're making your way through Madripoor.
God, okay.
19.
Jeremy's taking all the good dice.
11.
All right. You do catch a few glimpses, Scion, a couple times,
Okay.
of people who aren't quite as welcoming. Either some of it might just be chalked up to busyness, where they just, keep their head down and brush by very quickly. There's various levels of energy and emotional response in crowds. But you do catch the occasional sidelong glance, especially as the night gets a little lower. And at one point, you do notice a couple people looking at you, and one of them points. There's an exchange of something, and then you lose sight as a vehicle goes by, and both of them are gone after the fact.
I'm gonna try to commit those those what they look like in my head,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't. Hold on. I think this is just speak. I think there's actually. I'm just checking something really quick. It would help if I had the book open. Okay, I'll just ask because you might actually know better without me having to check. Does telepathic link allow me just to send images, or is there a better power for that? That does
For
that.
that one, let me check.
Because it just says speak, or it's no, never mind. The communication can be verbal, visual, or even more complex. So
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I am going to, and I can only establish one at a time. I am going to Arcana seems to be the responsible adult here, relatively. At least you're the oldest. I know
Second
that
oldest.
already.
Calavet is the oldest.
I'm the
You're
second
the
oldest.
oldest.
I seem more responsible. Yes.
You're the oldest in terms of the combination when you average out physical age and mature and emotional maturity. I'm gonna send the image of those two. I want to keep an eye out for these two. They were looking sketchy in our way, and I think that there might have been
Ooh,
payment
can
for services
can I borrow your eyes for a minute?
Sure.
Not
Well,
literally. And she taps you on the shoulder, and there's just a trace of Arcana as there's a little bit of magical energy that sort of traces off of you as her eyes begin to glow. As I use copy ability to copy your vigilance score.
Okay.
fair enough.
My
Copyability. Yep.
my
Mhm.
vigilance increases from 1 to 2 as long as I'm concentrating.
Okay, there you go. So you've got concentration open. And I will have I'm trying to remember. Telepathy is mostly based off of, is it logic or ego?
Mostly logic.
Okay, go ahead and give me a
There's
logic.
some ego as well, but
right. Go ahead and give me a logic roll just to see how detailed of an image you were able to gather and transmit. I'll say it's a 12. Okay. Yep.
15.
There you go. So yeah, you've got a pretty decent image of two faces. One kind of an older man graying a little bit around the temples in like a little bit of a Hawaiian shirt kind of thing, unbuttoned, and pair of cargo shorts. And then the other, a younger female, with a bit of a scar on one cheek, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, brown eyes, just pretty much wearing like a tank top, and kind of capri pants, with some tennis shoes on her feet. Both looking
Perils
very
or whatever.
local.
I,
Yep.
I am just duplicating your vigilance, which is higher than mine,
Right.
and using it instead while I'm concentrating.
Yep.
But at
Yeah.
this point, as you're starting to link up here, and transmit this information, Mistral comes streaking down the street, flying about 15 feet off the ground, just buzzing over top of the crowd. She and Agate had gone off to check one thing. And as she comes back, you can see she's got a little bit of blood around the right side of her neck. Fuck, guys! Fuck! They took Agate!
Who?
Sort of catch Mistral as she comes flying in.
Right, yeah, and she just sort of skids to a halt on the street.
Fucking hell! All right, who and where?
Who?
4 guys jumped out of a van. They had some sort of, and you can see there's a puncture mark on her collarbone, but there's also some sort of discoloration around it. You can go ahead and give me a logic roll if you're trying to diagnose that.
12 with a fantastic success.
With a for a fantastic success on a 12, you can definitely tell that there's been a puncture and a burn, and I'll say with a fantastic, you can tell that's from something like a taser or a cattle prod.
How do you stun weapons? All right, they're trying to capture mutants. Keep eyes open.
Where?
She points back over her shoulder.
In that direction.
Yep, already running in that direction.
They were all teched out and shit, and then I saw something, but they dragged him into the van. She's flying like over top of you now, trying to keep pace. Who's got the highest speed here?
As we're running, I'll sort of shout to
run speed is 5.
to Scion.
Also 5.
I believe mine is speed. My run speed is also 5. I will shout to Scion. You got the fastest communicator that if you can get word back to Krakoa that we've got a kidnapping going on.
I will. Give me just 1 second. I want to check something when we're there.
As Calavera starts running, like the bone begins to rip out and protrude from her face as that skull mask reappears, and just bone blades have popped out of both arms.
Okay. She's like, it was just on the other side of the canal up here, and you guys come around the corner. And can everybody see?
Yep.
You find yourself on a Madriporean street. There's a number of people that are sort of clustered around under the eaves of some of these buildings, but the street has been largely cleared out, likely due to the recent confrontation that happened. And on the other side of the canal from you, you can see a trio of what look like robotic entities, kind of low slung, about the size of a large dog, each of them with 6 legs, as they're skittering around this general area up here. And you can see them with various little electrical implements and stuff skittering over the ground, some of them scanning, some of them modifying stuff, some of them scraping things up, and they're just like shoving it into the interior of their metallic carapaces. And this is where we'll roll some initiative.
All right.
You want to roll initiative now or next time?
Yep. Because we're rolling initiative, and this is also where we're going to be ending for the week. But I want to see where everybody lands.
I have an edge on my
16.
initiative. 14.
Make sure you roll your edge on that
did,
as well.
yeah.
And for Arcana.
Where is initiative on this character sheet?
It is
It's up at the top left.
Ah,
it'll
it
say
is the
initiative, and then it'll
roll
say
after
roll.
the-
roll.
Yeah.
yeah.
14.
14 with a fantastic.
Okay. All right. So we are going to, let's see. You're the only one I think that got a fantastic. So yep. So we are going to start with Arcana next week as you guys confront the aftermath of a kidnapping in Mutietown.
Say goodbye,
And
everybody.
that's where we're closing for the day.
Bye.
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 Goodbye.